Okay, so today we're going to make Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night. And my husband had this for a very long time. He bought it. It's a very large poster. And I'm sorry, you're probably looking at my reflection as well. But I love this large poster because it really sort of zooms in on the textures and the colors he used to make the stars and the beautiful clouds. And I thought this would be something that we would enjoy doing. Now, some of you have sort of learned a little bit about this texture when we made our Christmas cards. I don't know if you remember, but we did kind of make the stars to look like this. The interesting thing about Vincent van Gogh's painting is that he uses a lot of colors to create or evoke this kind of emotion. So when you look at his paintings, it just feels very emotional. And the reason for that is he's using a lot of the 5 basic elements. And one of the elements that we see a lot of in Vincent van Gogh's paintings is sort of this curved lines. And you'll see that in the hills, even as he's painting the highlights, the white curves, the hills, purple curves mixed up with different colors. Some of them have long strokes. If you look here, that's long, and this is very, very short. So you can see where his paint strokes were short and long. They were short here. I would say he probably did something like this along these lines, and here probably like this, some fast movements. And this, he didn't go like this. You can see these lines are kind of broken up. They're broken up. And look at this moon. There's some darker color there. There's different shades of blue and green that he may have mixed up together. And here, his tree, he outlined it, or this, I think it's a tree or a bush. He outlined it in black. And then there's a very dark green in that painting, if you can see that. Okay, so see some of that black covering up the green, but there's still some white in there to give it depth. And let's look at the little houses here. This looks like a church. Very tall steeple, but very simple. Very simple. So when we look at it very closely, you see a lot of different strokes, different colors. The stars stick out because they're lighter than that blue back there. For his sky, there's even some green in his blue. But when we step back, we don't really see all that. It all kind of blends in together to beautiful artwork. Okay, so I have emailed your parents the Vincent van Gogh Starry Night that we are going to oil pastel. And so you don't have to do the whole thing, but you can pick sections of it if you'd like and just work on that. The part that I'm going to work on is the sky and the tree and maybe even a little bit of the house. But the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to plan it. And so the way we're going to do this is we're going to get our pencil and we're going to draw what we want to oil pastel. So the first thing we want to draw is the thing that's in the front the most. So if you look at the oil pastel, you'll notice that the tree is in the front and sort of the village as well. Okay, so I will kind of draw this tree. It's thin at the top. And as you're drawing, don't forget to look at your paper. I mean, this almost looks like fire, doesn't it? Okay, so there's the tree. And then next to the tree, I see, and draw lightly with your pencil. Try not to draw too hard with it. It's just there for reference. So if you look at the bottom of Vincent van Gogh's painting, you'll see a house. But I'm not going to draw all the way to the house because, or the church, because I see a bush in front of it. I also see this line and that. Try to see this as shapes instead of, oh, it's supposed to look 3D, or try to see it as shapes. And then it will be easier. Track your eyes to the shapes that you see, or the lines, the elements, the basic elements. So there's that. And then here, I see a window. And then I see a very tall steeple. There we go. And then here, we just draw some more lines. Like that. Okay? I'm going to leave the rest of the city kind of, I'm not going to go more into detail with that because you can do that if you want. But I'm just going to do this section right here. So there's that. And then here, I noticed that there's this hill, wave. I mean, this all kind of looks like if we didn't color this, it would look like the background is the ocean. And then you've got sort of this ridge right here that goes up like that. So then, okay. Okay, I don't know if it's helpful to have it more close up, but so I noticed that this hill connects back here. So I'm just going to go like that. So I'll take this and I'll erase it because I don't want it to look like that. And there are no mistakes in art, right? You can change it if you don't like it. There is never a, you have to stick with it no matter what. Okay, so here I see the star, and it's a pretty big star. So maybe I'll draw one small circle here, kind of do that. And then I see a small circle here. And I see another star right here, maybe a medium size. This one's actually a lot smaller. Okay. And then here I see another star. And if you notice, I'm doing it very lightly with pencil. That way, if I don't like it, I can easily change it. And then I see a sky that comes, I mean, all of this looks like waves, doesn't it? Like in an ocean. And then I see this go here. Maybe like that. And I see this come up like this. And as you can see, I'm sort of sketching it. And if I don't like where the placement is, I'm always welcome to change it. Okay. And then there's a star here. And there's the moon right here. Oh, can't see it. Okay, there. So there's the moon. And then a very bright yellow around the moon. Okay. So hopefully you have all the colors. If you don't, actually you will, because I'm going to make sure you get all the colors. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. The reason why I chose this blue color paper, normally artists, before they begin painting, they start with sort of a beige tannish background. But since most of our background is blue, I thought it would be kind of nice to start off with the blue paper. Guys, ACA has provided very, very nice paper for you. We got this paper specifically for oil pastel. You'll notice quite a difference when you start doing your oil pastel on this kind of paper. It has a lot of texture in it, which means the oil pastel will go on there really nicely. And it'll be so fun to see what it looks like because the texture is there. It almost has a canvas feel to it. So it's almost like you're painting on a canvas like a real artist. So I just want you to know that, and let's get started. All right, so the first thing I want to start with is the tree. Now, you don't have like different shades of colors. You just have green, dark green, and light green. Let's go ahead and start coloring this tree. This tree in the Vincent van Gogh's painting is very dark. It's kind of a dark green. So let's put this green down first. Let's color this tree. Okay. All right. And you know, this is going to sound kind of weird, but let's add a little bit of purple to the green. To make it darker. And also, let's add some orange to the green. Now this doesn't look like that green at all, right? Well, but it does look darker. It looks darker than the other green, this green that we had. And then we'll go over these colors with this green again. And when you go over it, you'll notice that this color has become darker because that orange and a little bit of that purple has made your color darker. And this is what artists do with their paint, is they use the right color combinations to make it darker or to make it a different shade. Okay. And look at that. We've got even some white streaks on there, which you'll see in Vincent van Gogh's painting. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to get this black oil pastel. Okay, so I'm going to take the black oil pastel and just outline the tree. So as you're doing this, look at the painting and see where Vincent van Gogh had his outlines, okay? Okay, so let's put this here. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look exactly like his. I mean, obviously, we're not trying to make it like his. We're just using his piece to study his way of painting, his way of using texture, and the 5 basic elements of design. Okay, so there is our tree. And I also see maybe some light green here. You can make it look, give it more depth with a little bit of highlights like this. Okay. All right. Then the next thing is it looks like the mountain has purple and green. So, excuse me. Let's color the mountain purple. Now, if you look at this purple compared to the purple in the picture, obviously very different, right? So can you guess what we're gonna do to the purple? That's right. We're going to add more colors to it. Okay. So I'm going slow and I'm flushing this out. Okay. I would even use a little bit of blue with that purple. Take care not to color the house. Go around it, or the church, sorry. Keep calling it a house. Steeple. Okay. There we go. Okay. So here we've also got, we need some purple here. I forgot to color that. And like I said, it doesn't have to look exactly like his. We're just studying his work. All right, so we added some blue, we added some purple, and let's get our black and let's create those hills that he uses with the black. And if you look, he's got some short strokes of black on the mountains. Some of them don't have it. And then he's got a little bit here to kind of highlight and outline it. Oh, wait. Oh, okay. It seems that I may have, okay, there we go. Okay. All right. And this one, I think I think there was a ridge here. Because if you see, the lines go up and down on this side, and then here they just kind of flow down. So I would get some blue and create some of that texture, that line that he has there. And I have even seen maybe a little bit of the white mixed with the blue. Maybe even a little bit of green in there. Some more purple in between the black lines. Purple in these lines. Purple in these lines. This kind of goes like that. And the hills we're going to make that go with the hills. Now, oil pastel is very similar to paint, which is paintbrushing sort of, which is why we're using it here. But of course, it's not the same, really. So, your texture and your colors are going to come out slightly different, but that's okay. That I do see some green in there, in the hills, and a little bit of white to mix the green and make it lighter. And there's a lot of purple here. Just add color on it. Okay. You can even kind of color it hard if you'd like. Okay. So now let's go ahead and do the house. Or church. Keep calling it a house. I'm pretty sure it's a church because the steeple is so high. All right, let's color it white. Let's color it white. And it looks like this has a black outline again. Looks like he really liked outlining his drawings. And then that was black. And this was a little bit of blue. And that kind of looks a little blue. And even some green. See all the different colors he uses. Sometimes when we look at a painting, all we see is the whole picture. And sometimes we can miss what details were actually used to make that whole picture. And so that is why when we go to museums, you see people just sitting there staring at it because they're trying to work out those details. Because it's those details that create the whole picture. It gives off that emotion or feeling or okay. Here we go. Emotion, feeling, or time period that they were in. They're trying to express their ideas in many different ways. And I think it's really important to study the many different ways that they express themselves in the time or generation that they're in. Open and close. Okay, so I am going to color this white on the inside because I think this white will help make the colors that we have look lighter. Because if you look, there's some light blue here. There's a little bit of that purple from the mountains here. And there's some blue and purple here. And maybe a little blue and green here. Okay. If you're getting frustrated or you feel like this isn't good, you are awesome and you're going to make awesome work. So you can stand up and walk away from it. And when you feel better, just come back to it, okay? Because you feel frustrated with it, I don't want you to stop. I do want you to keep going. But if you feel frustrated, just stop and walk away from it. When you feel better, you can come back to it. I'm just adding a little bit of yellow in there. The yellow that he's using seems very tan, but I think it's okay for this project to use a little bit of this yellow. Okay, how about we try the stars now? So here I see yellow, so I'll make some yellow, and I definitely see some white. So you can see that he used a lot of paint strokes to create this. So if you look at what I'm doing, I'm trying to imitate that texture. Now, as I'm doing this, I can't see it. I can't see what it's going to look like if I stand back. But if you've gotten to this point, I encourage you to stand back and look at your painting from far, or your drawing, your oil pastel from far away, and see what it looks like far away. And then you'll see that it looks a lot different than when you're here actually working on it. And do that often. Okay, so I'm adding some green in there. I saw some green. I'm going to come in and add more yellow. Very short strokes. Kind of like I'm painting, but with a oil pastel. Now I know some of you have had a lot of experience with oil pastel with Mrs. Goodenough. So I'm quite positive that you'll be very good at this. Okay. And then maybe I'll add some more white. This white has some black on it and it's rubbing off of there. White, you want to try to keep as white as possible. So if you see some marks of different colors coming up on your white, just wipe it somewhere. And it should be, not wipe it, but color on something that's clean. And it will be white again. See that area. Okay. Moving on to the next star. I see a very small red dot with yellow around it. I see some light green. So if I want to make light green, I can do white underneath and add some green to there. You can see that we're kind of mixing it. So that's another reason why I like this paper, is that it mixes very well. So you don't have to use your hands to mix it. All right, and then we're going to use some yellow. Okay, there we go. So go ahead and just continue with your stars. I don't want to spend too much time on it right now. I see some blue here, some yellow, and orange, and white. Okay, so let's go ahead and move to the clouds. Okay, the clouds, you can use all different kinds of colors. How about we try with white first? And if you look here, it kind of goes into this wave right here. And if you look, I'm kind of doing it very loose. Like I'm not being very strict with myself. I'm just going with the flow. Kind of like the wind is blowing. Oops. Going. Okay. And then we'll add some blue here because we saw some light blue. So just use some short strokes to follow your white path. Obviously, we're not going to be able to finish this in one sitting. If you want to make good things, I always tell my son this, it takes time. Good things take time. So when I'm trying to get something for my son and I'm trying to fix it up or I'm trying to put it together, you know, he gets impatient and he's like, hurry up. And he starts whining and getting impatient. And so I have to remind him that good things take time. And so, but that doesn't mean you have to sit and work on this even if you're not wanting to. That makes sense. Just take your time. But also know that your hard work will be rewarded And the more patient you are with your work, the more reward there is in that. All right, so there's the sort of the first wave. Like I said, it doesn't have to look exactly like the painting because we are just trying to get the idea, the flow of it. And everybody's different. We're not all the same. We're not all going to create the same way. Even if we are copying something, it's not all going to look the same because we're different. We were all created different. Okay, so now I'm starting on that bottom area. It looks like Vincent van Gogh used a little bit of yellow here to probably reflect the stars on top. And then he used some greens, but they're not real this color green, are they? So what I'm going to do is add some green here and then put the blue on top of that to give it a bluish green, which is what we're going for. So the bluish green hopefully will come out as I put it on top there. These are just some long, and if you want to do it harder, like right now I'm tapping on this pretty hard so that it'll come out darker. It's a lot different when you have a paintbrush and you're doing this. Okay, and then move up this way. I think there is more white here mixed with the blue and the green. All right, now we can kind of go over it with white. At this point, I want you to step back and kind of look at your artwork, kind of see what you've created, and be proud of yourself. You have done an amazing job. Okay. Okay, so you'll see that in some of the areas I have put my oil pastel down like this, and just to fill up more space that way. And I I believe there's even a little bit of purple up here. Now remember that wave that we drew right here? I'm sort of making the areas around it a little bit darker so that you can kind of see it. And if you just left it like this, it's perfectly fine. I think it's finished when you have gotten to this point. We do need to finish the moon. Okay, so there's some orange here. Oops, my hands are dark. Okay. Here we go. And the around the moon is a very like light yellow. So around the moon, I'm going to take this white oil pastel and color around it so that when I put the yellow down, it will be a lighter yellow than the moon. See that? Okay. Now I kind of did that, but I want it to kind of look like paintbrush strokes. So I'm going to do the same technique that I did for the stars by just going in a circle like this. All right. Make it a little bit darker on the edges here so that the moon kind of stands out a little bit. Okay. All right. So, I'm going to add a little bit of green here. And obviously this part does not look the same. Like I said, blue, it's okay. And how about let's get this green. I see some green curves, curved lines. Go here like this. Some blue in between it. Okay, I am going to say that I am done with it. And let's see. Okay, so I'm going to say that I'm done with it. And here is what I was looking at. And there's my rendition of it. So I could use a lot more paint strokes on the sky up here. Right here, I could spend more time doing that. But when I step back, it doesn't look the same as when I was working on it. See how when we get up close, we see all those different textures and color combinations we used? It definitely looks different a lot closer up than farther away. I could probably add more yellow strokes to the sun. So, I hope you had fun doing this. And I hope you learned a lot. And I can't wait to see what you guys made. Talk to you later. Bye.